feel like you just want the cheat codes for a happier life?
I think we've all been there.
Well, today we're going to do a deep dive into something that might help with that. We're looking at 6 habits,
Mm.
and it's not just like feel-good fluff.
Right.
These habits are like backed by actual science.
Interesting.
Yeah. So get ready to maybe upgrade your well-being a little bit.
I like it.
This is a deep dive into happiness hacking.
You know what I find fascinating about this is these habits, they're not just about, feeling good. Like
Yeah.
they touch on how our brains work.
Yeah.
They touch on how we connect with other people.
Yeah.
It's a very holistic approach, which is something I always find very interesting.
Okay, so let's unpack the first habit.
Okay.
Gratitude.
Yes.
I've tried those gratitude journals. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
But they always felt like a chore after a while. Is there like a better way to make this more of a mindful thing instead of just listing things?
You're so right. It can get very rote, right? You're just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
The key is to shift from like a passive listing of things to really active appreciation.
I like that.
Think about it this way. Neuroscience actually shows that when we genuinely focus on what we're thankful for,
Yeah.
we activate the reward centers in our brain.
Wow.
So we're actually rewiring ourselves for positivity.
Okay, so instead of just writing down I'm grateful for coffee,
Yeah,
I should really like savor that first sip.
exactly.
Yeah.
And don't limit yourself to just big things. Right?
Yeah.
Even appreciating a sunny day or a kind word that a stranger said to you on the street, those things can really shift your perspective.
Yeah.
Lisa actually talks about how she had one client who was super stressed out at work.
Mhm.
And this client started making an effort to notice small things like her colleagues being supportive or a pretty sunset on her drive home.
Right.
And she found that it really helped her cope
Interesting.
because it reminded her that there was still good amidst all of the chaos.
Yeah, it's like training your brain to see the good,
Yeah.
even when things are like super tough.
Exactly.
Okay, so gratitude, that's like a mental workout, but
Right.
what about a physical one?
Oh, yeah.
Habit number 2 is physical activity.
Okay.
And honestly, some days
Right.
just getting off the couch feels like a marathon for me.
Oh, tell me about it.
So is it really that important?
Well, before you write off exercise completely,
Okay.
let's talk about endorphins.
Oh, endorphins.
They're not just like feel-good vibes.
Right.
They're actually neurochemicals that have mood-boosting power. In fact, some types of endorphins can even relieve pain,
Really?
which is why you hear about things like runner's high.
Oh, okay.
So,
it's not just about looking good.
No.
It's about like feeling good too.
right.
Okay, but honestly, I don't have hours to spend at the gym.
Yeah, I get that. It can be a lot.
So what are some like realistic ways to add physical activity
Yeah.
into a busy schedule?
Lisa suggests finding movement that you enjoy,
Okay.
so that way it doesn't feel like a chore.
Okay.
It could be a brisk walk during your lunch break or
Mhm.
dancing in your living room or even playing tag with your kids. Just small bursts of activity throughout the day can really add up.
Speaking of energy,
Yes.
did you know that working out, like exercising with other people, can actually supercharge those mood boosting effects?
It's true.
Yeah, and it ties into our next habit,
Heck, you're...
connecting with others.
Oh, interesting.
I get that quality time is more important than quantity,
Totally.
but what does that actually look like?
I think about it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have 100 shallow acquaintances
Right.
or like a handful of close friends who really get you?
Yeah, I'd rather have the close friends. Right, for sure.
It's about fostering those connections
Yeah.
that make you feel really seen and heard and supported.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa emphasizes that even introverts
Yeah.
can really benefit from nurturing those
Mhm.
meaningful relationships.
So it's not about like being the life of the party.
Right.
It's about finding those people that you can just be yourself with.
Exactly.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be anything complicated.
Right.
You could schedule a regular phone call with a friend or plan a game night with loved ones or
Okay.
join a club that has something to do with your interests or,
Yeah.
even small interactions like
Yeah.
just striking up a conversation with the barista
Right.
or complimenting a stranger on the street
Yeah.
can really brighten your day and theirs.
Yeah, it's true. Like putting good vibes out there.
Exactly.
All right, on to habit number 4.
Okay.
And this is one that I am definitely guilty of neglecting sometimes. Sleep. I always tell myself, like, oh, I'll catch up on the weekend.
Yeah,
But then, of course, the weekends are just as busy.
of course they are.
Is it, like, really that big of a deal?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If I just skimp on a few hours
Ah.
here and there.
Think of sleep as like your brain's nightly reset button.
Yeah.
When you're sleep deprived, it's like you're trying to run a marathon on an empty tank.
Hmm.
You might be able to push through it for a little while,
Yeah.
but eventually you're going to hit a wall.
So it's not just about feeling groggy.
No,
It actually affects, like, how well I can function.
exactly. Lack of sleep impacts your mood, your
Hmm.
concentration,
Right.
your immune system, even your metabolism.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Lisa actually shared some great tips on the podcast about creating a consistent bedtime routine.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything complicated.
Okay.
Things like, dimming the lights an hour before bed or taking a warm bath or
Right.
reading a book. Those things can really signal to your body that it's time to start winding down.
So I've heard about blue light from screens
Ah.
keeping you awake.
Yes,
Is that, like, something I should be worried about?
definitely.
Okay.
That blue light, it actually suppresses melatonin production.
Oh.
Melatonin is that hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle.
Okay.
So try to avoid screens for at least an hour before bed.
Ooh, that's a tough one, but
It's worth it.
I'm willing to try.
I think you'll see the difference.
Okay, moving on to habit number 5. Lifelong learning.
Ooh, I like this one.
I love the idea of always, like, expanding my knowledge and stuff, but
You're right.
honestly, like, my brain feels pretty full most days.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
How can I, realistically make learning a habit
Yeah.
without, feeling overwhelmed?
The key is to find activities that really spark your curiosity,
Okay.
Shouldn't feel like homework.
Right, right.
Lisa shared how she recently started learning how to play the ukulele just for fun. Okay.
And it's become a really stress-relieving outlet for her.
That's really cool.
It is.
And it reminds me that, like, learning can be enjoyable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'll dust off that old guitar I've been meaning to learn.
There you go.
But what if I start something and then, like, realize I'm not good at it?
Well, that's where self-compassion comes in.
Okay.
It's not about being perfect. It's about embracing the process of learning
Yeah.
and growing.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, everyone starts as a beginner.
That is true. That is very true.
Mhm.
So it's more about the journey than the
Those-
destination.
Yeah. Embrace the challenges and celebrate those little wins along the way.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about that final habit,
Okay.
giving back.
All right.
I'm all for helping others and stuff, but
Yeah.
honestly, with my schedule, it's, like, really hard to find the time or energy.
Yeah, I hear you.
So does it really make that much of a difference if
Mhm.
I just, like, focus on my own well-being?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Studies have actually shown that helping others boosts our own happiness.
Really?
It's like a win-win situation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Lisa emphasizes that it doesn't have to be some grand gesture,
Okay. Yeah.
It could be as simple as, holding the door open for someone.
Yeah.
Or offering a genuine compliment to someone.
Right, right.
Or volunteering a couple of hours at a local charity.
What I find fascinating about that is
No.
it kind of shifts our perspective away from our own problems and
Okay.
helps us connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Yes, that's exactly it.
So it's not just about doing good for other people.
Right.
It's also about doing good for our own, like,
Yeah.
mental and emotional well-being.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected
Yeah.
and that our actions, no matter how small,
Right.
can actually have a ripple effect on the world around us.
Okay, so we've covered a lot
We have.
with these 6 habits.
Yeah.
And it's clear that they're not just about, like, fleeting happiness. They're about, like,
Goodness.
creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Totally.
But realistically, how do we make these habits stick?
That is the question.
It's so easy to get excited, like, in the moment,
Totally.
but then life happens and you kind of fall back into old patterns.
Right. Well, that's where consistency is key.
Okay,
It's about making small, sustainable changes over time.
right.
Lisa suggests picking one habit
Okay.
that really resonates with you
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on incorporating that into your daily routine.
Okay.
And then once that feels natural, add another one and just keep building on that.
So it's like building a foundation for happiness,
Exactly.
like brick by brick.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
Right. There will be days when you slip up
Of course.
or life throws you a curveball.
Yeah.
The key is to just approach yourself with self-compassion and simply get back on track when you can.
Yeah, and that takes the pressure off, like striving for this
Yeah.
unattainable, like ideal of constant happiness, you know?
It's unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
And it brings us to a really important point.
Okay.
Happiness isn't about being happy all the time.
Mm.
It's about learning to navigate
Yeah.
the full spectrum of human emotions,
Okay.
the highs and the lows.
So it's about like resilience,
Yes.
the ability to like bounce back from those setbacks.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
It makes me feel more like equipped to like handle whatever life throws my way.
Totally.
So these 6 habits aren't just about, feeling good.
No.
They're about building a foundation
Push your tail.
for a more resilient and fulfilling life.
You got it. And remember, it's not just about our individual happiness either.
Right.
When we cultivate our own well-being,
Yeah.
it has a ripple effect
Okay.
on those around us.
I like that.
Yeah. We become more patient, more understanding, more
Yeah.
supportive.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly.
When we prioritize our own happiness,
Yeah.
we create a more positive and harmonious environment for everyone.
And that brings us to a really thought-provoking question.
Ooh, okay, I'm intrigued. What question are you pondering?
Well, if happiness really is contagious,
Mm-hmm.
how can we intentionally spread it?
Wow.
How can we inspire others
Yeah.
to embrace these habits and create a world where well-being is the norm,
Yeah.
not the exception?
Yeah, that's a really powerful question.
It is.
Think about if happiness really is contagious, how can we like be those people who
Right.
spread it,
I love that.
It's like we're all secret agents of joy, like
Yeah.
armed with these 6 habits.
Yes. And like any good secret agent,
Right.
we need a plan.
Okay.
We need a strategy for making these habits stick.
Right.
So for this last part of our deep dive, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
we should talk about like practical tips,
Okay.
for turning these habits into a lifestyle.
Sounds like a mission I'm ready for.
Awesome.
Where do we start?
Let's go back to gratitude.
Okay.
We talked about active appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that really helps me is
Yeah.
creating like visual reminders,
Yeah.
So instead of just writing in a journal, I put up sticky notes around my house
Oh, I like that.
with things that I'm grateful for.
That's a good idea.
That way I'm constantly being reminded.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like creating a gratitude gallery in your own home.
Exactly.
What about physical activity? I'm all for finding movement I enjoy and everything, but
Yeah.
some days motivation is just
Zero.
I totally get it. It can be really hard to get moving.
Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes the best way to get motivated is to just start moving,
Really?
even if it's just for 5 minutes.
Put on some music, dance around your kitchen, go for a walk around the block,
Mm.
do some stretches while you're watching TV.
Okay.
Often, once you get started, you realize, oh, you know what? I actually kind of want to keep going.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're tricking your brain into enjoying it.
Kind of, yeah.
What about connecting with others? I know it's important and everything, but I'm
Yeah.
like, not a social butterfly.
I hear you.
What advice would you have for someone who's a little more introverted?
Quality over quantity.
Right,
Remember, it's not about forcing yourself to be the life of the party.
right.
Focus on really nurturing those relationships that matter to you.
Okay.
Maybe it's a weekly coffee date with a close friend
Mm-hmm.
or family game night
Yeah.
or even just a heartfelt text message
Right.
to someone you haven't spoken to in a while.
Those are all great ideas. Small but meaningful.
Exactly.
Okay, sleep. Sleep is a big one that I struggle with.
It's a tough one.
I try to do the bedtime routine, but I always end up on my phone.
Yes, the phone.
Oh my God.
The dreaded scroll.
It is. So do you have any advice for breaking that habit?
It's so hard. You know what helped me?
Okay.
Moving my phone charger outside of my bedroom.
Wow. That way you're not tempted.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's a game changer.
I'm so guilty of that, like reaching for it in the middle of the night.
Me too.
What about lifelong learning? I love the idea. I get excited about new things,
Yeah,
but then I kind of lose steam quickly.
I hear that a lot.
How do you